And hello and good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Get a Grip with Coach Elex. I'm your host, Coach Elex, and with me, my incredibly handsome husband and co-host,
Stephen, the medium / attorney, is here.
I forgot. Oopsie. I forgot the attorney part. Sort of important.
Just a tad bit, just a little bit.
But here we are. We are actually coming to you live from Cape Cod, and I tell you, today's an absolutely gorgeous day, Stephen.
Yes, it is.
So we have plenty to celebrate. This weekend is an exciting weekend for us because for the first time, Stephen, we are officiating the wedding of someone who's very, very special to us.
Yes, and I can't wait. It's, the fact that it's our first time and we get to do it together is pretty exciting.
Yes, and Erica, this is the Batchelders. Erica, we've known Erica since she was a little kid.
Yeah, she was in grammar school.
That's right. We were kids too.
Sure.
Don't get me wrong. But
she babysat me.
The two of us, okay. But it's really exciting to watch somebody grow up, and then they ask you, "Would you marry us?" And she's marrying this amazing woman, Melissa. And we love the family, we love the girls, and we couldn't be happier to be having been asked and to be part of their ceremony. Right?
Yes.
So what's going on with you, sir?
Just as my good friend Piero says, just this and that. This and that. This and that.
Piero, by the way, he's the person in charge of making sure that our hair looks absolutely fabulous.
And he's fabulous.
He's absolutely fabulous.
Yes.
And his son Mateo is absolutely awesome also. Hope they're listening. But anyway, Stephen, I know you have a little bit of drama, so you want to tell people what's been happening with your Instagram?
Oh, boy. Yeah, again, yesterday, I don't know, late afternoon, my phone just started blowing up with ding, 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 and it was my fabulous people that follow me letting me know that someone's at it again, that they are impersonating me and reaching out to people, asking them, certain different things. The people that follow me showed me the request, and hi, whoever they're reaching out to, would you like a reading from me? I'm offering discounts. Or hi, blah blah blah. This is Steven. I've really been seeing and feeling a lot of angels around you. Do you want an angel card reading? It's just absurd. It's just really, really absurd.
And that's something that you never, ever do. You don't reach out to anyone. You don't ask them to give you money for anything. You actually don't sell anything, via Instagram like that.
No. Any of the social media, I never reach out to people to ask them if they want a reading, or many people are telling me that this fake account is requesting them to follow me, and it's not me. So, I don't have to, but I love doing this, just thanking everybody that reaches out to me to let me know, and I tell them to report it. So it gets closed down fairly quickly, but it still made me have to do a video on Instagram, because it's always on Instagram. Mm-hmm. Just, again, reminding people, because, I get new people following me all the time, and people that may have, don't know enough about me or know anything about mediums. And so I had to do another video just explaining what was going on, and that's not me. And as I always say, just look at the title, the name of the Instagram account, because these imbeciles think they're slick, but they'll, my Instagram is Stephen the Medium. So they'll do Stephen, like STEVV, like 2 V's, EN, the Medium, because obviously my Stephen the Medium's already taken. And of course they block me, so I can't see them.
But this time, though, what was really unique about this time is that they weren't even using your name. They weren't using your picture with somebody else's name.
Yeah, I mean, someone who probably
ridiculous.
Doesn't know. Yeah, exactly. Probably some who doesn't know enough to fraudulently do something correctly.
Yeah,
So,
but the thing is, people still see your picture, and they sort of don't see the name, and they still assume that it's you. So,
yes.
but
Yes.
anyways, that wasn't you. Just in case you saw that, and
It
then
was not me.
that's right. So I have a couple. Well, let me start with this. Then the other exciting thing that you have coming up is Lady of the Dunes, another screening before it goes public. And when is that going to happen?
July 26th at 7 p.m. I just checked Water's Edge Cinema, and I still don't see the tickets available yet, so I'm going to have to reach out to Frank, the producer, just to see when they're going up. I don't think this cinema is enormous, so I'm not sure if they have to, because they do have advertisements for two other movies, I think, that go to July, 21st or something like that. So I'm not really sure if maybe they need to wait for those dates, or I don't know. I'll find out. But I definitely will let everybody know.
Yeah, and so if you are in the Massachusetts area, or New England for that matter, and you're curious about watching this incredible documentary that Steven happens to be featured as a medium in, this is an opportunity to see it before anyone else sees it. This is like your Sundance Festival opportunity, and there'll be a Q&A part right after the screening. And I will tell you, I've seen the documentary several times now, and it's absolutely incredible. And it is, tell people, Stephen, what the documentary is about.
Well, I was going to say, too, if you just want to come down just to see if my hair is real, come on down.
It's real.
I remember Elix, just you I don't know when, a couple of months ago, you said a friend of yours, a CrossFit or somebody, I don't know if you showed them a picture of me or they looked at like a video, and Elix said to me, she wanted to know is that his hair? I said to Elix, well, who else's hair is it? Michael down the street? Yeah, it's my hair. So the documentary is about, in 1974, a woman, July 26, 1974, mind you, so it's an anniversary. Her body was found in Race Point Dunes, and she is still to this day unidentified, and it is the longest open, unsolved criminal case in Massachusetts from July 26th, 1974. So they don't know who she is. They don't know who the killer was or killers were. So the documentary just goes on. It just brings you on this amazing journey, just explaining the situation, the death, and everything that's happened from 1974. And the documentary has some PIs on and police, and it's incredible. So
yeah, it really explores like the entire murder and what could have possibly happened and who may be behind it. Right. But it's still unsolved. And by the way, the Race Point is located in Provincetown, Massachusetts. So this is really a big deal locally for this town, and it's pretty well known. But this is also because we don't know where she is, and it's believed that she was not from Massachusetts. This is a murder that was headlined all over the world. So again, it's an incredible opportunity. Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, well, I know she wasn't from here because I did a note. Before the documentary, actually, we filmed it a couple of days prior. I went by myself to Race Point Beach, sat down, meditated, and as I offer on my website, Whispers in a Note, I wrote down exactly what she told me, and then I gave it to the producer, and she definitely told me she was not from here. And the great thing is that Chris Sutherland, did I say his last name right?
Sutherland, yes.
Yes, is writing the Lady of the Dunes book, and he has my note that he's going to include in his book. So how cool is that? And we love Chris, too.
Yeah, Chris is awesome, and he is, I'm sure
he'll be there.
He'll be there as well, and his book is sure to be incredible and pretty amazing. And the last thing that I have is, of course, Steven is making preparations for what's going to happen, how he's going to feed himself over the next several days, because I'm going away on a business trip Tuesday. I won't return until Thursday evening. So that means that he literally has 3 nights with no one taking care of him, cooking. He doesn't do anything in the kitchen, so he
So
is
are there any
actively
takers? Anyone want me?
he's actively looking for anyone who is willing to bring him something, a sandwich or something, because he'll happily take it. And I'm not kidding, really, seriously, right?
Not at all. You are right on target with me.
So, and that's anything else going on? Because I mean, that's really all I got for now.
That's what's up. That's enough.
Yeah, that's
Right?
enough.
That's enough.
But let me just say, today we have a guest that is been with us before, and he's an amazing. I just have the privilege to know him personally. I've worked with him, so I got a whole lot of behind the scenes know of who he is and what this guy has done, and he's extraordinary. And so today's show is really, we call it Therapy for Kings. That's the name of his book. And how one man, in this case Charles, has made a difference through actions and words, for not just for himself, but for men and people all over the world. His story is super, super inspirational, and I'm really happy to have the Charles accepted the invitation to come back, Stephen.
Yes, me too. Because it was a great show last time.
It was an amazing show, and so today's going to be equally amazing. So what I like to do is, let's take a break so that when we come back, we can give Charles a whole lot of space and room to talk all about him, his new book, and what he's up to. So we will be right back. And hello, everyone, and welcome back to Get a Grip with Coach Elex. I'm your host, Coach Elex. With me, my wonderful co-host,
Stephen Frederick is here.
Stephen, the medium attorney, and my wonderful husband is here in the house. And today, our show is a conversation with my friend and somebody that I admire. And we're going to talk a bit about what he's up to, but in particular about his TED, his book, Therapy for Kings. Dr. Charles Daniel is a therapist, and he's the CEO of Fathers Uplifts, which is the nation's first mental health and substance abuse treatment facility for fathers and families. And he is committed to helping fathers become and remain emotionally stable for their children. He has spent the last decade providing therapy for Black men, helping them overcome the effects of toxic masculinity, racism, and oppression. He's taught at Harvard University, Simmons University. He's appeared in numerous television and radio programs and is also an Obama Foundation Fellow. Recently, in last February, he wrote his new book, Therapy for Kings, was published. His TED Talk, A Second Chance for Fathers to Connect with Their Kids, was released in June and has over 500,000 viewers. In fact, last time I checked, it was 600 and something thousand viewers. That's pretty incredible. Charles is on a mission to provide mental health counseling, coaching, and advocacy to fathers to help them be the best that they can be. My friend, Dr. Charles Daniels, welcome to the house.
Hey, thank you for having me.
How are you?
I am well. Can't complain.
So we are so excited to have you back, Charles. And I know since we had our last conversation, there's so much that has happened. And among the many things that have happened is your book, Therapy for Kings, was released. So let's start with that. Therapy for Kings. You got some explaining to do. Why Therapy for Kings? What inspired you to give your book that title?
Well, I think there's a king in all of us, and king, queen, whatever, any form of royalty. I think that exists inside of all of us, and specifically for men, and especially men of color. When I think about the utilization of therapy, like going to a therapist regularly, sometimes, based on the history of mental health practices with people of color, there are some reservations about therapists, right? There's some reservations about what therapy actually is. And for me, I found therapy to be a true gift, but I also know that the history and other barriers make participation in therapy, less likely to occur. So my goal was to put that in the book so people can have access to being able to start their own healing journey, even if they're not comfortable seeing a physical therapist. How can they open a book and begin to ask themselves some of the tough questions that therapists or executive coaches ask their clients, right? I think it's equally accessible. I think therapy should be equally accessible, but I also think that individuals who want to evaluate themselves and be better should also have the opportunity to get the same services that we are able to have access to. People who understand, have access to more resources, access to the opportunity to see therapists or other providers, right? I think, they would say that therapy is this universal thing that's accessible to everyone. And I do believe that is the case. Nonetheless, the oppression and the history is different when you look at races. And I think a lot of people are impacted by that when we look at the utilization rate of therapy among different races and cultural groups. So that's the reason why I wrote it. I wanted to make therapy more universal, and if people didn't want to go to anyone's office due to some of those barriers or constraints, they can actually open up my book and engage in their own therapy.
Wow, Charles, that's just incredible. Charles, you talked about, wanting men to really see themselves in their own journey. And I know you've been very open about your journey and about, your life, your experience, and what has had you, the experiences that have you be who you are today. Were there any parts of I mean, the journey in and of itself is super inspirational. Were there any parts of that journey that you would say were key uh, for you to write the book?
Yeah, it took a lot for me to be able to love myself, and I think just the capacity to have experienced a significant amount of pain and heartache, be able to get back up and find my value really was the key. And one thing that I've understood throughout the journey is that doubt, depression, fears will always be present. But if I could love myself enough to feel those things and move forward and not let go of my dream, I can continue living the life that I'm worth leading, and I wanted to make sure that, in any aspect that I could show people how to do that through giving them that process. So that was key, that experience of finding love in me, and enhancing or being acclimated to that capacity, because I didn't always have that capacity. I thought that, first and foremost, I thought being black and dark-skinned was a curse. I thought that I was incapable of being loved by anyone. And now going from that to now knowing that I'm one of the baddest things that ever walked the planet. And you got to have that type of confidence, right? I think it's a transition that I would like to give to people as they're trying to find their own value. So,
Stephen, you have any questions for Charles?
No, Charles, I'm so excited that you're still here. I'm still here. I don't know what I'm saying. That you are back here and you're getting to share this information. And I think the title of that book is so powerful on so many different levels. I mean, I just think that title is just, the title alone just like pulls you right in to see what is this book about. And was there anything else, Charles, that title, how you got to that title, or was it just exactly what you just said about being kings and queens, and that's how you came up with it?
Yeah, I also have to remind myself that I am a king, as a black man, as a person of color, as a man in general. I think oftentimes when you turn on the television and you look at, how people who look like me are being treated by, whether it's the police, whether it's, other systemic ideals, beliefs, and ways that people are being treated. I mean, it's easy to turn on the TV and don't see a king when you look at that TV. Wow. So, how can we be the mirror that people need to be that reminder? And I wanted to, and granted, the book is for everyone, right? But specifically when you have young boys, young men that look like me and you, and look in the mirror, but also look on the news, I want them to continue to remind themselves that they're kings, that they're princes, despite what they see on the television. So that's one thing, right? I think that also contributed to the title of the book. But I'm also going to be honest with you. My first book that I wrote was my journal that I published. It was called Your Business is Our Business. And if you find that book on Amazon, it's a collectible, because it's my journal that I wrote. And let me tell you, it was a hit in my family. But I heard so many people with that book. It really talked about the pain that I've experienced and, what I've gone through, the issues of being in an absent father household, finding my father, and, just looking at how my pain really translated into that book, but also what happened when people in my family read that book and how they felt about it. I wanted to make sure that people had the contrast, right? You had my pain, the first book, but now you have the process of healing in the second book, and how you can engage in that healing process too. So all of that is key.
Yeah, Charles, I love that, because not only are you sharing your experience, but then you're giving black men families, then you're giving them a how-to, you're giving them a framework for them to now learn how to take that experience and do something with it, have a breakthrough, create a breakthrough for themselves. Now, when we talk about, your story in those moments, and you and I've had, I said before, I feel privileged because I have some behind the scenes, know into who you are and what got you here. But Charles, what would you say, or was that one significant moment that you experienced that led you, first and foremost, to decide, you know, what you weren't, right? I'm not this. And then how did you transform that into no, you know what? I am a king.
Mm. You know, I'm a firm believer of speaking the reality that you want before it occurs. And in order for me to confess that I'm a king and actually believe it, I had to tell myself I was a king before I even believed it. Right? I had to remind myself, even when I felt as if I was one of the most worthless people, still today, I still have moments of doubt. So that
Mm-hmm.
process for me is confessing and claiming what it is that you want to occur or that you want to be your reality as if it is your reality. So that's why I abide by. And that's my process, right? So whatever comes out of my mouth, I say with conviction. Despite what I feel is just a feeling. But what I want to be and what I am, that's the reality. And that's what I encourage people to do. And that's what I lean on as my science and also the foundation of my process towards healing, right? Confessing what you want to be a reality and holding on to that even when you feel your worst.
Words of wisdom, because that's really about all about creating your future, really reinventing who we are simply because you say so. You don't need anyone to tell you who you are. So I tell you, Charles, again, I listen to you, and I'm just so inspired by you and by everything that you've done. So it's time to take a break, Charles. Let's take a break. Hang in there with us, please, because I got plenty more questions to ask you. So we'll be right back. And hello, everyone, and welcome back to Get a Grip with Coach Elix. I'm your host, Coach Elix, and with me, my wonderful co host,
Steven is here.
Steven, the medium, the attorney, and my husband is here. And with us, we have a wonderful guest, somebody I admire and somebody I have the privilege to call my friend, Dr. Charles Daniels. And we're talking about Charles' latest book, Therapy for Kings. Charles, welcome back. How are you?
I'm well, I'm well, I'm well. Glad to be
you,
here.
you are, and you make us better, Charles. But listen, we're talking about, how to embrace our journey, our life experiences, and how to really create a new conversation, how to we reinvent ourselves. And And I do have a question for you, Charles. What would you tell one of those many fathers that feel hopeless, that feel there is nothing left that they could possibly do, that there is nothing left in their future, and they may look at you, they know that you've had similar experience, they know that you've walked the walk, but they may say, but I'm not like you. You're smarter, you're better. You didn't have what you didn't experience what I've experienced. How would you respond? What would you tell them?
Yeah, first I say it gets better, and then I would ask them to really think about their vision for their lives, and what does better look like for them? Because, if it's to be back in their kid's life, what needs to occur right now for that to happen? And whatever that needs to be, they need to write it down, and they need to focus on it every single day, and they need to keep at it. It gets better. And the last thing I would tell them is that, what would you do if you broke your leg? Right, first and foremost, right, you won't walk around with a broken leg pretend as if you ain't in pain. You're going to go to the doctor and get that leg tended to. Right? Same with the pain that you make, because sometimes pain is so deep that it turns into depression, anxiety, right? I mean, you really have to go get that stuff checked out. Just like a doctor, right, who can fix a broken leg. There's people out there that you can talk to really deal with some of that stuff that you're currently experiencing. But again, I'm all about getting help when you need it, knowing that we all hurt, and whatever you want to occur in your life, believing in it, identifying what that is, and attacking life as if it's your reality, because it can be once you believe it enough. So those are three things I would tell them.
Oh, that's so wonderful. Stephen and I have been talking about, why it matters to have a vision statement for ourselves. And you speaking to that, it's a vision. It's really creating what that future looks like. You don't need to have evidence that is for sure going to be this or that. You just need to believe that whatever that is for you, what you call it, whatever that better is for you, it's possible. And you just speak it into existence. And Charles, I love hearing you validate that. And Stephen, you work with young kids in the juvenile system, and you have experience. You've listened. Charles works with the adults, but you've heard the stories of the kids before they become adults.
Yes, and I'm hoping as time goes by and forward that Charles has an easier time because I can intercept them as kids as they get older. But honestly, it goes hand in hand. I was just thinking too, Elix and Charles, that I think I don't know if it was the first time you actually met Charles, Elix, but I was there. I don't remember, and I think we met Samantha. We were in some, I don't know where the building was, maybe in Boston or so. And I remember being like meeting Charles for the first time and just seeing his presence and knowing, wow, this guy is going to do great things. So and I always love the commonality that what Charles you do and what I do with kids. It's great.
Yeah, listen, I'll say this quick story. I met Charles through the Social Innovation Network because he was a fellow in that program, and I happened to be a coach because I met the woman running the program through the Institute of Coaching, and she's like, would you please do this for us? And I said, I will do it, but I have one request. You better give me your best fellow, because that's what I want. And I got Charles. And boy, that they really honor the word, because Charles was the best of the best. Not for nothing, Charles, but you also got, probably the best coach also. Just
not
saying.
Probably.
Absolutely. I did.
But Charles, let's so your book, by the way, where can people get a hold of this book? And just so that you know, because I promoted the show, I even received a message from somebody in the Philippines who said, I need to get myself a copy of this book. So if people want the book,
wow,
where can they get it?
Yeah, so it's on Barnes and Nobles. You can get it at Amazon, Books a Million. It's definitely on all book selling platforms. So it's Therapy for Kings by Dr. Charles C. Daniels Jr.
And so it's available anywhere in the world. Fair to say.
Yes. Yes.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. So now let's talk about, and again, you have incredible achievements. Your book, your multiple books, but the latest book is one of them. But let's talk about your recent, well, the TED, because the TED was premiered in June of 2022, I believe. And as of today, this is mind blowing to me, Charles. And not because I'm surprised, but just because I'm just so freaking proud. But it's been viewed more than 500,000 times. I watched it and I was profoundly moved as you share your story. What was that experience like to speak on the TED stage and share all that you did?
Wow. It was, I'm still picturing myself. It was a dream come true. It's almost a month since it's been released, and I can't believe it's already been viewed that many times. But I can tell you, it was a lot of hard work. I practiced a lot, but when I got on that stage, I just started remembering all of the shoulders that I stood on to get to this point. And then it became like this emotional, overwhelming release of gratitude and appreciation. So I was so thankful, but I also had a great time on that stage.
And what inspired you to create a TED Talk that well, you did it because you wanted to. I guess at that point you may not have known that it was going to reach this many people and counting, but you did it because you wanted to inspire people. So what was that source of inspiration, Charles?
For me, I wanted people to see an example of a person who didn't believe in himself, who didn't see his future, to someone who found it and actually made it a reality, right? He was able to see what he wanted, and now it's the reality. That transition is powerful, and I wanted people to see an example of a living person that's actually doing it.
And what was the biggest thing that you learned as you prepare to do this amazing TED Talk?
Well, I learned that everything that you share on that TED stage has to be validated and proven. You can't get up there and just say what you want to say. So I learned that. But I also learned that, man, just that vision piece. When you were talking about earlier, it's about the vision plan and writing it down, man. That stuff actually works. It works, right? To be able to have your vision on the wall for you to see it every day, you're going to start believing it and you're going to start doing it, and it happens. My vision was to be on that TED stage a long time ago, and it happened.
That's fabulous.
So,
And did you learn something new about yourself? Like you know your story, right? You prepared. Yeah. You had an intention, to share the story and to have some impact, for the people listening. But did you learn anything new about self in that process?
Absolutely. I learned that there's nothing that I've written down or said about myself that didn't happen. If I write it and I see it, it's going to happen. And I learned that. I learned that, right? Typically, I learned that I also learned that you can't be timid with the things you want to accomplish in your life. You can't say, well, I think I'm going to do it, or I think this is going to happen. No, you have to be convicted that, no, this is going to happen. I don't know when it's going to happen, but it's going to happen. And everything that I've been convicted about in my past life, last few years of living, I would say last 2 or 3 years of living, either since we met, right? Everything that I've been convicted about, that I've written down, that I said was going to happen, happened. And I kid you not. And that's my philosophy of life moving forward. So I learned that. I learned that about myself. And
you are proving, living proof that is absolutely possible, because I'm telling you, I remember talking to you about, I'm going to go back to school. I'm going to get my doctorate degree. I remember those conversations, and so to have you be here now, it's just incredible. Steven, any questions for Charles?
Not a question, but, listening to Charles, you speaking, and Elix, you speaking. I think the great thing about you, Charles, is that, whether it's working with Elix or any other influential person that's got this ton of knowledge, it doesn't and they give that knowledge to you like Elix did and helped. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to take those tools and actually use them, because most people don't. And the fact that you didn't just hear it, but you put it in practice and understood the vision and mission and all of that was going to get you to where you are now, and where you're going to keep going. Because I can only imagine, Charles. I mean, I get tired just thinking of and hearing what you've been doing. But it's the fact that you actually took the reins of your life and listened. You had those tools. That to me is so remarkable.
Thank you.
And also, those of you who are listening, hope you're taking notes, because Charles is giving you some pretty clear fundamentals of the how to, right? If you're questioning, but how do I do that? Well, you have to have a clear and convincing vision for yourself. And you don't need to have evidence of what that is. You just need to know that it's possible. And you also need to write it down. If it's in your head, it does not exist. It needs to be on paper. Otherwise, it's not real. It's some illusion someday, somehow. And ultimately, at the end of the day, you have got to believe it's possible. You have got to say, I'm going to get there. I don't know when, or I don't know how. You don't need to, but I'm going to get there. Charles, really, seriously, you've given people clear fundamentals of the how to.
Yeah,
So, you know what? Let's do this. Let's take another break, because I got more questions, and I want to talk about racism in America, because if I have you here, that's an opportunity to talk about that. So, Charles, hang in there. When we come back, we're going to tackle racism in America. We'll be right back. And hello, everyone, and welcome back to Get a Grip with Coach Elix. I'm your host, Coach Elix. With me, my wonderful co-host, husband, attorney, handsome
Stephen F.
Stephen F. And today we are incredibly thrilled to have our friend, Dr. Charles Daniels, who is talking about his latest book, Therapy for Kings. And we just had a wonderful conversation about his TED Talk, A Second Chance for Fathers to Connect with Kids, who has had over 500,000 views. In fact, over 600,000 views as of now. Welcome back, Charles. Dr. Charles Daniels. Correction.
All right.
It's great to have you here, Charles. So, Charles, before the break, I wanted to really close the show, asking you, having a conversation about racism in America. How do we educate about racism in our families, in our communities, or even in the workplace? How can we learn to feel empowered to make a difference, even if we see it as small?
I think we have to become accustomed to tolerate the lessons and what we hear about those stories, because sometimes what happens is that when people hear the stories, they get offended and they think the stories are about them. But the reality is that our experience about racism is about history. And there's room for everyone's history at the table. And the more you're able to allow someone else's history, even if it makes you uncomfortable that it occurred, to be at the table with your history, the more prepared you'll be able to have these conversations and be able to embrace not only their experience but your experience and contribute to meaningful conversations and solutions. But if you can't tolerate those conversations, you're not going to be able to be helpful in making this world a better place. Because they both all have a place at the table. We have to accept that. So that's my lesson. That's what I would say they would have to do in order to make change.
And to me, a few weeks back, we had a guest talking about pride. And it almost felt like a very similar conversation, because one of the things that he said when we're talking about prejudice in that case, which, again, there's a lot of correlations here. He said that you have to make your voice known. You have to claim your seat at the table. You cannot be just quiet. And what I'm hearing you say, Charles, is you gotta be willing to tell your personal story, even if it makes you uncomfortable. You gotta be willing to share who you are, all parts of you, with whether it's your colleagues, with friends, with family, whomever, and that's what I'm hearing you say. Am I hearing you correctly?
Yes, and we got to be able to hear other people's stories too.
Very
those
good.
Stories that make us cringe and make us uncomfortable. I mean, because you're going to need people like that to make a difference.
What does that mean to you?
So for me, it's like, I don't want everyone that agrees with me to understand. Well, I not only want everyone that agrees with me to understand the importance of fathers, because they agree with me, they already know how important fathers are. I need people who really don't understand why fathers are important, who think that fathers are unworthy. I need to hear their stories, right? I need to be open to what it is that they have to say about what I am trying to bring about, the change I want to bring about in the world. If I can't be open to hearing their narrative, I can't contribute to educating them about why fathers are important, right?
Yeah.
So I think we both have to be able to listen to those stories in order to get people on our side who in the past may not see things the same way, but currently don't.
Yeah, absolutely. It also, I almost also think that it goes back to that vision, right? Because if you're crystal clear as to what it is that you say you're committed to, then you have to decide, are you going to honor that or are you not? But you can't simply say, I'm only going to honor that when the circumstances, are good or when they work in our favor. You got to be willing to honor that no matter what. I actually, I was doing a race equity and inclusion training recently, Charles, and there was a woman, a black woman, who actually said to me, and by the way, she was a force to be reckoned with. And she said to me, you know what, Elex, it's very hard to watch the news and just stay motivated to keep doing what I want to do. And I said, well, what is it that you want to do? What are you committed to? And we had already done the vision exercise. So I said, what was your vision? When you wrote it down, what was it? And she said, well, I'm committed to being a challenge agent, an agent for change. I said, so are you saying you're committed to being an agent for change only when the circumstances are good? Only when you hear good news on the TV? Only when people are agreeing with you? Or are you committed to being a change agent no matter what? Under whatever circumstances? And I tell you, Charles, the moment I said that, it was like it clicked for her immediately. And when when you talked about doing your TED talk and feeling those shoulders behind you, people that has been along your journey, from your past, the people who are perhaps in spirit supporting you. She shared the same thing. She says, you know what, if I stop honoring what I'm committed to when things get hard, I'm not honoring any part of me, and I'm not honoring those before me. And I think that's exactly what I just heard you say.
Absolutely. Those shoulders. It just brings so much perspective to the room.
Stephen, you've talked about those shoulders too, because I know, that's one of the things that you often remind me of, all of those people in spirit and, what they done before. If not for them, we wouldn't be here today. What would you say?
Oh no, absolutely. And I think we spoke about that, or I spoke about it last time Charles was on. And in a bigger perspective, because I do connect with spirit. I know what Charles is doing in the walls in the ceilings that he's breaking and tearing down. I think it's just incredible, though, Charles, that you're here in this time period that on some hand it's an incredible time, right? Everything that you're able to do and you're moving forward, but then there's the other side that seems like it's just trying to pull everything backwards. So that balance, even when you're talking, I can feel everybody around you just saying, don't give up, don't give up, don't give up. I know they know you're not going to, but just you've got not to put a lot of pressure on you, Charles, but you've got all of your ancestors and everybody just watching and just being so great. But then again, I think I would say that if you stopped right now, which I know is not even a possibility, I think you're going to have a really good place up there in heaven. I'm telling you.
Thank you so much, Stephen. Woo.
I know he's going to have a place in heaven. Charles, this is one last question for you, because I can't help it. I know that you come from such a really awesome place, a place of love, a place of compassion, a place of understanding. And it's often hard to feel compassion when there's racism. How do we bring compassion to issues and relationships where you view that other person as simply wrong? Help me, because I'm telling you, I struggle with that often.
Yeah, I've had a hard realization recently that, some people are lost cause. and what I mean by that, and it's hard for me to accept that, but what I mean by that is that sometimes the lessons are so embedded in their souls that it's hard for them to unravel it because they don't want to let go of that old thinking. And in cases like that, I choose to protect my energy, and I think about my kids, people that are near me who need that full, healthy Charles. They need that positive energy. I just can't spend too much time worrying about people who don't want to unlearn what they've learned in the past. So my motto is always save energy and keep it for those who value me and who want to be better. So that's my approach.
I love that. I think I'm going to use that next time I'm with someone, and that's going to pop out, Charles. You're a lost cause. I love it, Charles.
I don't think that's what he said. Just that is not what he said. You still have to bring love and compassion into the conversation.
I love that. I love the energy talk. It's amazing, Charles.
I love her from a distance.
That I totally get. You gotta create a healthy boundary so that energy doesn't invade your space, your personal space. So I gotta keep Stephen away from you, Charles. Just saying.
Yeah. No, I love Stephen.
Yeah, I love him too, but I can see him saying next time, "You are a lost cause. Goodbye." Absolutely, but that's not what we're saying. Please, people, do not walk away with that. Charles, but listen, we got to the end of the show, and I want to make sure we give plenty of opportunity for you to tell people, first of all, how can people learn about Father's Uplift? We talked on the first show. If you're listening to this show for the first time, you got to look up on Audible, YouTube, Apple, your previous show, because we talked a lot about Father's Uplift. So if people wanted to learn more about what Father's Uplift is, where would they go?
Yes, so you can go to our website, fathersuplift.org. Again, www.fathersuplift.org. You also can give us a call, 617-708-0870. And we also have a podcast on Spotify, Apple, all the podcast streaming services, which is absent for a reason. So you hear all about Fathers Uplift. You hear from some of our dads, from the youth that we're serving. So feel free to check us out on that podcast, Absent for a Reason. And there you go.
Awesome. And where can people find your book again? Therapy for Kings.
On all book-selling platforms, Amazon, Barnes & Nobles, Books A Million. Check it out.
And we want to get your TED Talk to 1 million views. So I know people are going to want to see you in action. I'm going to watch you again, by the way. So
I haven't seen it. I cannot wait to watch it.
You got to watch it. So where can people find your TED?
Yes, so you can go to TED.com and type in my name, Charles C. Daniels Jr., and the name of the TED Talk is A Second Chance for Fathers to Be with Their Children. I believe that's the case, but check us out.
It is.
TED.com. Yeah.
A Second Chance for Fathers to Be with Their Children, and it's by Dr. Charles C. Daniels. Charles, I will tell you, again, I don't ever get tired. By the way, give an incredible hug to your lovely wife, Sam, Samantha, and your beautiful children. And I'm telling you, Charles, I never get tired of telling you how proud I am. You are such a source of inspiration, and I am forever grateful that I had such an incredible opportunity and privilege to get to know you, to work with you, and to be your friend. Thank you so much for giving us once again your time and your attention. And again, there's plenty we can keep talking about, so you have an open invite to come to the show anytime.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Charles.
Thank you.
Right,
thank you. And with that, we've come to the end of the show. And this was Stephen. This was an awesome show. Do you not love him, or what?
No, it went by too fast. I cannot believe that it's done, and it's just like you could just listen to him forever. Honestly, it's such a as you said, Elix. I think like if you look up his name in a dictionary, inspiration would be next to it. I mean, that's just who this guy is.
He is super amazing. And this conversation was amazing. But yes. Stephen, where can people find you?
Cape Cod. Oh, you mean Stephen the Medium?
Anywhere.
And
that is what he goes by. So if you see any other name, it's not Stephen.
That's right.
Stephen the Medium. And you can find me at Coach Elex. And if you are listening to this, you should also know that all of my radio shows are turning to podcasts and available in your favorite podcast platform. So having said that, Have a wonderful weekend, everyone. And thank you for
Bye-bye.
being with us. Bye-bye.